Hi everybody. So I'm going to talk to you today about the difference between dark chocolate and milk chocolate. So this might seem very obvious to many of you, especially if you're a chocolate enthusiast, but to be honest, I get this question a lot. And the general public gets confused between what is dark chocolate and what is milk chocolate. Does it have to do with ingredients? A lot of people think it has to do with percentage. So I'm going to go over very briefly what the difference is between dark chocolate, milk chocolate, and some of the gray areas that some people can debate, but let's get right to it. So let's start by talking about dark chocolate. Dark chocolate should be, especially fine chocolate, only 2 or 3 ingredients. So for the Maguire chocolate bar here, we have organic cacao beans, organic cane sugar, and cocoa butter. That's it. Remember that cocoa butter is just the fat from the cacao bean. So it's still really only 2 ingredients in a way, sugar and cocoa beans. The Tingo Maria Cyrene bar here, we have organic cocoa beans and organic cane sugar, and that's it. Here they don't add any extra cocoa butter to it. And that's all you want to see in a dark chocolate. You don't want to see vanilla. You don't want to see anything that suggests any other flavors were added to it, natural, artificial, doesn't matter. That's all you want to see in a high quality dark chocolate. Now, obviously, if you're getting, grocery store chocolate, some couvertures, you might see things like soy lecithin. Then you will see things like vanilla and natural or artificial flavors. But we're talking about fine craft chocolate, and that's all you want to see in those bars is 2 or 3 ingredients. Now, what makes the difference between those and a milk chocolate is milk powder. It has nothing to do with percentage. It has to do with the fact that the milk chocolate has a substantial amount of milk powder mixed into it. So for example, we have by Maguire again, their Big Booty Hank 52% milk chocolate made with a Costa Rican cacao bean. Ingredients are just cocoa bean, cane sugar, whole milk powder, and then a little bit of extra cocoa butter. You normally see the cocoa butter in milk chocolates because when you add sugar to the refined cocoa beans, it gets really thick. And when you add milk powder, it gets even more thick. So most people do add cocoa butter to the milk chocolates. Either way, I don't have an issue with it. And the difference between this bar and, say, your grocery store bar is this milk chocolate has a higher percentage of cocoa beans. It's 52%, which means it's 52% cocoa bean, and then the rest is a mixture of sugar and milk. So it has a much more predominant cocoa bean flavor to it. This bar is really spectacular. It has really strong notes of butter and cream. A lot of people say it tastes like caramel to them, even though no caramel is added, no other flavors. It's just that combination of the good quality cocoa beans and the milk powder brought together by Maguire chocolate. So really, really good milk chocolate. Milk chocolates you get in the grocery store are going to be a lot less cocoa bean, maybe 40%, 35%, 30%, even less. So, there's a point where think of that, 25, 30% cocoa bean, and the rest is all milk and sugar. At what point do you not call it milk chocolate anymore? Now, different countries have different standards of what percentage requires it to be labeled milk chocolate. You can't have a 10% milk chocolate bar. It's basically a sugar bar with milk and a little bit of cocoa added to it. But generally, the craft chocolate bars you'll see have a much higher percentage. So that's really the only difference between dark chocolate and milk chocolate is that milk powder. Now, keep in mind, cheap quality dark chocolates might have milk powder or whey powder usually, some sort of milk protein in there. I know Hershey bars, dark Hershey bars tend to have that. And so I get asked a lot, is your dark chocolate vegan? Or where can I get vegan dark chocolate? Well, by definition, dark chocolate should be vegan, but I understand why people have these questions because there are other little ingredients that poor quality chocolate makers add to the dark chocolate. But high quality dark chocolate shouldn't have any sort of milk, dairy, anything in there. So I'm going to show you here a little video of me making some dark chocolate. So here you see liquefied cocoa beans, and now I'm adding some cane sugar to it. And that's all you need in a dark chocolate, like I said. Maybe I would add a bit more cocoa butter if I wanted to, but this recipe is just cocoa beans and cane sugar. And that's what you see here is pre-ground liquefied cocoa beans, and some organic cane sugar added into that. Now, if we were making milk chocolate, this is where we would add not only the sugar, but the milk powder as well, and probably the cocoa butter as well on top of that. So that's the difference, is that one ingredient, a substantial amount of milk powder to make that creamy, silky, milky, delicious milk chocolate that a lot of people love. Now let's talk about different kinds of milk chocolates, flavored milk chocolates. I'm going to talk about a bunch of different ones where things can get a bit gray between the difference between the two. And I'll leave it up to you to decide. Now you might see something called dark milk chocolates. I had some tastings recently where people got these chocolate bars specifically and asked them to, they had other bars in there, they had some dark chocolate bars, and I said, get the dark chocolate bars, we're going to try those first. And a lot of people got this because they saw dark milk chocolate. And to someone like me, to someone enthusiast, dark chocolate is dark chocolate, right? It's just 2 or 3 ingredients. Milk chocolate, the difference again is that milk. So if I see that milk in there, it's a milk chocolate, regardless of the percentage. Now, what a dark milk chocolate means is that it has a much higher than normal percentage of cocoa bean as opposed to sugar and milk powder. So the Maguire one here, very creamy, very smooth, very milky. That's what people want from a milk chocolate. Now, these bars here, we have a Cantu dark milk chocolate and we have a Cyrene dark milk chocolate. And the ingredients are the same as the Maguire one. It's got, the Cantu one is pure cocoa beans, cane sugar, whole milk powder, and cocoa butter. The Cyrene one is cocoa beans, cane sugar, whole milk powder, and cocoa butter. So exactly the same, all of these. The only difference is that this was a 52%, which means 52% cocoa bean, the rest milk and sugar. This Cantu one is 60%, so 60% cocoa bean and the rest milk and sugar. And this one here from Cyrene is a 65%. So if you looked at it, a lot of people look at it, that would look like a dark chocolate to them. But it is a milk chocolate. So it's got the main flavoring ingredient in there is the milk. A dark chocolate focuses only on the flavor of the cacao beans, especially with fine chocolate. That's all you want to taste. When you start adding other ingredients, it either becomes a milk chocolate or a flavored dark chocolate or even flavored milk chocolate. So again, that difference between the dark and the milk is that milk powder. And these are all milk chocolate. These are all milk chocolate. You can call these dark milk chocolate if you want because it's a higher percentage, that's fine. But these are all milk chocolate. The only difference is higher percentage. So again, you get a stronger bit of that cocoa flavor, a little bit less sweet as the Maguire one there because these are higher percentage. So there's less room for sugar if we have 60 or 65% cocoa bean. And this is really good for people who say, I don't like milk chocolate. It's too sweet for me. Now the Maguire one, I would argue, is not too sweet. It's perfect. But for those who don't like things sweet in general, this is really good. Dark milk chocolate, you still get that creaminess, that milkiness in there. It's a little bit more tempered because of the milk powder, but it's not as sweet as most milk chocolates and probably has double the amount of cocoa bean and half the amount of sugar than your commercial milk chocolates. Now, keep in mind that these milk chocolates I've talked about contain dairy milk from a cow. Now, you can also have other types of milk. So this is a Cantu bar that has goat milk powder. So instead of dairy milk powder, they add the goat milk powder into it and refine it in there. You can see there's been sheep's milk chocolate bars, camel milk chocolate bars, many different kinds of milk. So if you would drink different kinds of animal milks, you could make it into a delicious bar. And you might think it's weird, but if you like goat cheese, if you like that goat flavor, you might really like that. A lot of people are surprised. They're like, that sounds weird. And then they try it and they really love it. Now there's another type of milk chocolate, right? Nowadays, if you go to a coffee shop, you don't just get dairy milk with your cappuccino and your lattes. You can also get almond milk. You can get coconut milk. You can get soy milk. Now, soy is a contentious issue in chocolate. So you usually won't see soy milk chocolate bars. But I'll show you here we have by Pump Street in London, UK, we have oat milk chocolate bar. So it's a 60% oat milk bar. So it's 60% cocoa bean, and the rest is a combination of oats and sugar mixed in. So a very nice bar. Looks like a dark chocolate bar, but a bit lighter in flavor, and you definitely get that oatiness coming out, just like an oat milk or even like an oatmeal. Really, really great bar. Raka in New York has a coconut milk bar. So, you know, just like you can have a coconut milk latte, this is a coconut milk chocolate bar. You definitely get that coconut flavor in there. And Kazama in Vancouver also has a coconut milk chocolate bar. This one is more seasonal. They don't always have it. Right, ingredients: cocoa bean, unrefined cane sugar, cocoa butter, and coconut milk powder. Right, so that's all that's in there. This one looks very milky, even more so than the Raka one, but they're both alternative milk chocolates, right? Got the oat milk, and there's even some other ones. There's another maker I hope to have soon, and they have a really, really wonderful recipe for milk, dairy-free milk chocolate that doesn't have, you know, there's nothing wrong with the strong flavor of the coconut and the oat, but it's nice to not have that overpower the vegan milk chocolate. So they do a really cool job with that. Hopefully I'll get those in soon. So we've talked about difference between darkened milk, right? That milk powder. Then you can have different types of milk chocolate, right? Depending on the percentage of the cacao. Craft chocolates, if it's a higher percentage, craft chocolate makers will call it a dark milk chocolate. Then we have different types of milk, right? Not just the cow milk. We have the goat's milk that I showed you. There's alternative milks, people who can't have dairy but want that creamy smoothness of a milky chocolate. We have the coconut milk, oat milk, and there's other sorts of milk bars out there. And just before I finish off, I just want to introduce to you a couple more types of chocolate, sort of how we classify them. And these ones here we have from Fossa. This is their Honey Orchid Oolong Milk Chocolate Bar. So it's got organic cacao, cane sugar, cocoa butter, milk powder, and tea leaves. Beautiful bar. It's like a London fog in a bar. Not too sweet at all. Really, really beautiful chocolate. So this is a flavored milk chocolate. So this is just like the Big Booty, Maguire, and the dark milk and the Contu bar. Just like that, but milk in these ones is the predominant flavor. That's what you're tasting, is the cocoa bean and the milk. In these flavored milk chocolates, it's cocoa bean, milk, and then something else. So here's the tea leaves. Hogarth in New Zealand has their Kumara bar. Very unique, very wonderful, really, really good job. People in my tastings are always surprised that they can actually taste the sweet potato. So this is a smooth milk chocolate with sweet potato. And what they do is they add crisps, sweet potato crisps, into that refiner in the video I showed you earlier, and then grind it all up into a smooth chocolate bar. Really interesting texture. I really like it. And you sort of get a little bit of that potato, sweet potato flavor coming through. Beautiful. Really nice bar. So again, another flavored milk chocolate. And Matisto does a really cool milk chocolate bar here. Now Matisto, keep in mind, is originally from Sweden. And the Swedes love their licorice. And they moved to Australia, which I heard Australians also like their licorice. So this is a raspberry licorice milk chocolate bar. Super, super smooth. Very sticky, beautiful texture. I'm not a huge fan of black licorice, but the proportion of cocoa bean to raspberry to licorice, it's just perfect in here. It's really, really good. So the ingredients in this one are cocoa bean, sugar, milk powder, cocoa butter, raspberry powder, and licorice. And that's it. That's all that's in here. It's a beautiful, beautiful flavored milk chocolate bar. So these are flavored milk chocolate bars. Now, just before I finish off, we also have flavored dark chocolate bars. So these are dark chocolates. Has nothing to do with milk, right? That's the big difference between dark and milk chocolates, is that predominant high amount of milk in there, because people want you to get that milkiness in the milk chocolates. These are flavored dark chocolates. So I have a Ritual from Utah in the USA, pine nut chocolate. Beautiful, beautiful chocolate. Pine nuts has such a delicate but beautiful flavor to them. And this essentially is just cocoa beans, pine nuts, and a little bit of cane sugar and cocoa butter, and it's beautiful. So this essentially the difference between this and the first dark chocolates I showed you is that these are just relying solely on the flavor of the cacao bean, right? There's no vanilla, there's no other flavors in there. That's all they want you to taste. Where here, these are flavored dark chocolates. So I have the Ritual Pine Nut, and we also have a Kazama Wallflower, Gin, and Juniper 70% dark chocolate bar. So this one here, the ingredients are cocoa nibs, unrefined cane sugar, cocoa butter, and juniper berries. But the cocoa nibs were soaked in gin and aged in a barrel and then dried and then turned into chocolate. So they absorb that gin flavor. So these are dark chocolates. There's no milk in there. And it's not just about the cocoa bean, although, obviously that cocoa bean flavor is a part of it, but it's also about the flavor ingredient added. So we have the flavored dark chocolates, we have the flavored milk chocolates, we have alternative milk chocolates, and then we have different types of dairy milk chocolates. Now, where it gets kind of gray is the flavored dark chocolates and the alternative milk chocolates. Now, these don't have any milk, and so this Pump Street one, they call it a oat milk chocolate bar. Perfectly fine. That's what they want to call it. But, you can even call this one, the Ritual one, a pine nut milk, right? Like an almond milk chocolate bar. And this one here, you can also consider it a flavored dark chocolate, flavored with oats, right? It tastes like you're eating porridge with some dark chocolate in there, some really good dark chocolate. Again, with the Raka one, this could be a flavored dark chocolate with coconut, flavored with coconut. This Kazama one, I would say, it really is like a milk chocolate. It really is like an alternative milk chocolate because the color of it's really light, the creaminess of it really is like coconut cream, coconut milk mixed into the chocolate there. So this one, you could still consider it a flavored dark chocolate because it doesn't have any actual milk in it. It's flavored with coconut. But it just pointing out that it can get a little bit gray. It's up to you how you want to define them. It's not a big deal either way, but just showing you the different types of milk chocolate and the main differences between dark chocolate and milk chocolate. So hopefully that's helped some of you understand that a bit more. Obviously, there's so much more I can say about this, and then some of you might say, you didn't say that, okay, but another time. I want to keep it short today, and thank you for your attention. Again, if you have any questions at all, go to the question drop and leave me some questions, and if if they kind of fit in with what I'm doing, then I'll hopefully try and do a blog post about it or a video about it. So I appreciate you, all of you who have been sending some in. Some of them are still on the back burner. Some of them don't quite fit in yet. Maybe they will in the future. But feel free to shoot me a message, and I hope to hear back from you soon.